This video is made with generous donations from amazing furries, just like you.
Oh, alright. Oh. Hello everybody and welcome to another Buckethead based tutorial. But Sky, didn't you already do this one? Yes, I did. Unfortunately, my brain decided to be the consistency of tinned spaghetti that day, and I made a very, very big error. And that is, I will cover that in a second, but we're gonna remake it, and hopefully it'll be better this time. Who knows? So yes, this specific tutorial is for this pattern, my Buckethead base pattern, which is available for sale on my website. I'm gonna walk you through how to use this. Woohoo! Let's get cracking. The pattern comes with front page, and then it does have a picture guide on how to put it together. So you don't really need this video in theory. I'm gonna rip that off because I'm here to do that bit. So we're gonna be doing this bit. So I'm gonna let you know what we need for this project first up. So the error I made in my previous video was I told you needed 1 to 2 inch thick foam. Incorrect. 1 to 2 centimeter thick foam. You can go a little bit thicker if you want. Well, this is a high density one though, which I think is kind of important to mention because I have tried low density stuff before. It just doesn't hold together that well. It's just not worth it. So 1 centimeter thick foam. You'll see how much you need when you do up your pattern. So there's that. We have the pattern. Obviously, although I will show you how to make it without the pattern in case you don't want to spend $5 to pay for it. Scissors. I have tape to reassemble the pattern because we can't keep it all on one page because paper's small. Sharpie to draw on our foam with. Glue sticks to glue things with. And a glue gun to glue things with. Let's get started, shall we? All right, right, measuring tape as well. I just have that in case you want to make it yourself and also to measure your face. So I'm going to take a second to cut out this pattern. The link for this will be down in the description along with all my other patterns. Triangle. Now I would like to say this pattern is really easy to draft yourself. You don't need to pay for the pattern. I just made this for people who don't want to learn how to draft it themselves, but it's really, really easy, guys, so don't worry about it. If you're like, I can't afford the pattern, so make it yourself. I'm pulling my hair because I think it's touching my mic and I don't like that. With the pattern pieces, we should have small rectangle, big rectangle, triangle, one side bit, one middle bit, another side bit. Now we're going to tape those three together to make a really long bit. Long piece. That is our pattern completely assembled and ready to go. Disclaimer, I will not be using this. It will look the same though, so don't worry. I will make sure to clarify which piece is which. Now I'm just going to quickly check the measurement of this, and I recommend you do the same. So this is exactly 23 inches. So if you're making this at home, I will show you how to correctly size this. So we're going to take our roll of 1 centimeter, not 1 inch, 1 centimeter thick foam. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with. Now, if you are not using my pattern, I will show you how to make your own because it's really easy. It's really, really easy. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your measuring tape and you're going to take a measurement around the top of your head where your hat line sits. So my head size is 22.5 inches. Take your own, figure out what it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first measurement, which is 22.5, and I'm going to add 1 inch to it. So in my case, it'll be 23.5. And that is the first measurement we're going to make across. This one here is 23 inches. You may need to add a little bit on, and I will show you how to do that. But first, for people who don't have the pattern, we're gonna do that now. So I'm gonna mark up, just bring it relatively close to the bottom. It doesn't need to be too close. So I'm just gonna mark that there. Now, to measure how tall this needs to be. Now this height is actually perfectly fine. So I might actually stick with this just for the sake of simplicity, although I might want to extend my chin a little bit more. So when I do my head bit measurement, like how tall I want this piece to be, I measure from my middle of my forehead to just probably about your first like thumb length past my chin. So I'm gonna go with there. That's about 7. So it's really close. So this is 6.5, so I'm gonna use this bit as just a guide. I'm gonna add an extra little bit of a 1/2 inch there. So I'm gonna go with, so check that again, 7.5, not quite there. So I mark my 7.5 inch for height. One thing I'll also mark is the center. So 23.5, half of 23.5 is half of 23, 11 3/4. So it's roughly there-ish. I'm gonna follow that line all the way up. And then if you haven't already, finish off your lines. If you want to take extra measurements on the sides just to know where to draw, you can, but I'm honestly not that fussed about it, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Cool. We have our baseline measurements. Now, just to recap what we've done. So this length, measurement around your head, plus 1 inch. This one, from your forehead to your chin, just past your chin. Okay, so we've got our shape, basic shape to go. If you are using this and it is too small, either downwards or upwards, just add that on when you're tracing it. The next measurement piece we're gonna do is we're gonna go from the top center of our head. I'm gonna go, I think that's it roughly. We're gonna go back down to where our measurement was for our hat line. So that for me is 5 inches apparently. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that measurement from there to there, and you're gonna double it. So in my case, I'm just gonna use this 9.5 one because it's close enough to the 10 that I need for me. You probably only wanna make this is 2 inches thick. It doesn't need, just, you know, a decent thickness. So I'm just gonna trace this one, and I'm gonna trace along the edge just to save some foam. So I'm gonna trace it along the edge of what we've previously done. Now, I have marked on my pattern pieces some lines. If you wish to mark them on this, if you're patterning it yourself, you can. All it is just from it's a line on the center of each side. So one there, and then one. You can use measurements for this, or you can just eyeball it, like that. And you need one of these, so we're gonna put this aside. Now, for the bits that basically sit here, all it is we're doing some maths here, okay? Because basically we want the same measurement from here to here as we do here to here, but we need to connect it to the middle bit, so we need to subtract this middle bit to get the right measurement, if that makes sense. So half of this, let's say it was 10, say this length is 10, half of it is 5, because the width of it is 2, we're gonna subtract 1, because we're taking half from each side. So we're gonna make them 4 inches long. So we are now going to trace this, or we'll measure this. So you'd be measuring the length. You might go, okay, it's 4, yes. If it was 10, it would be 4. So if it's 4, I might go, okay, 4 across. I just add it kind of on the end of this because then I can use that thickness. And I mark the middle only on the short ends for this because we don't need to connect anything to the sides. So there you go. We have our 3 pieces so far. So we're going to do a little bit more work on this big piece now before we cut it out. So if you can see in the pattern piece, if you have this already on your pattern piece, just trace it on. You can skip this next step. But if you're patterning it at home, we are basically going to be creating these little indents in the side. Now, these do not have to be exact by any means. All they basically are is I usually take about 4 inches is my go-to number for this. So I get my little measuring tape, I mark 4 inches from the bottom on each end. Get going. 4 inches on each side, boom. And then you can measure another 4 inches in, but you can also just do that. It doesn't matter if it's exact, it really doesn't. Wow. Amazing. If you get the pattern piece, trace and cut 4 of these as well. So I'm gonna cut this out now. I'm just using normal scissors. This cuts super easy. It's like butter, you're fine. Now I'm gonna keep these little bits for later because we can use these as really useful tools to draft the little triangle bits if you're not using the pre-bought pattern. Okay, I'm now going to preheat my glue gun because we're getting very close to starting to assemble everything. So I'm gonna plug this in here. If you have bought the pattern, you probably already have your little iron mouth bits traced, but if you don't, and you're making it yourself, we are going to do it ourselves. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your pattern piece. You can see where the center line is. I'm gonna bring that and sit it again, just that little thumb length underneath my chin. So I'm gonna press it to my face. And this seems and looks very silly. It's supposed to. Where's my pen? So you're eventually gonna poke yourself in the face. This seems very silly, but it's seriously the way to do it. So pokey there, poke my nose, tip of my nose. So I do both of my eyes, my nose. I do my mouth, and then I also do the bottom of my chin. So it looks like that. Is we're basically going to use these lines to create the pattern. So we're going to go a little bit above the tip of our nose because we want somewhere for this, like the bit where our nose sticks out to sit. So we're going to go a little bit above that, and we're going to bring it down. The width doesn't matter. Don't make it too wide or you're going to have a hard time gluing your muzzle on. And then we're just going to bring it in where that chin line is. So it's kind of a curvy triangle. And then we're just going to draw little circles around where our eyes are. Now, this ultimately doesn't actually matter because you're going to be cutting larger holes for your eye lengths to sit in later. It's just a way to mark it. Even if you wanted to, you didn't have to carve out any of this, and you can wait till you have your muzzle glued on so you can carve it out on the inside and make it look nice. That's up to you. I'm probably going to carve out the muzzle bit, but I'm going to leave the eyes just because of the project that I'm using this bucket head base for. Once you get to this point, cut out the bits if you want to. So you see when I put it on my face? It sits like that. Hooray! You can actually breathe. It smells like Sharpie, actually. I think we are just about ready to start assembling everything. Now I'm going to grab Steve-O real quick, which is my mannequin head. You don't need it for this. I recommend it though if you can. If not, get a hat stand, like a hat holder. That also works. Like things that hold these, basically. Hold them off the ground. Okay, meet Steve-O. Now, I don't know how many times I have to answer this in videos. Steve-O, he's an Ed head. They don't make them like this anymore. I think they're gray or blue now. They're called like Ed Head 2.0. Ed Head from Monster Makers. It'll cost you about 150 bucks. It's not cheap. They're like made for like special effects makeup stuff, but I know you can probably get them cheaper. Let's look for Armature Head. If you're making on a bucket head base, this is actually not that necessary, and you can find cheaper alternatives to this. I just prefer using this because it means I can pattern my neck. I will do a tutorial on how to do necks in multiple different ways further down my Maker Masterclass series. It is on the way, I promise. So, Steve-O's gonna sit there for us. Glue gun, nice and ready to go, and we're gonna start assembling this. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm gonna assemble a little cross, basically. So we're gonna take our long rectangular bit, hot, don't burn yourself. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the short end of one of my shorter pieces. Like so. Just a little bit, I don't need too much. Sometimes I blow it a little bit to cool it down. Now, the point where we've marked our midpoint there and the point where we've marked our midpoint here, they're going to connect. Now, if it doesn't stick, don't worry, I usually pinch the seam, just don't burn yourself. Be sensible with it. So we've got a little T. Now we're going to do the exact same on the other side with our other little bit. Cool. Got a T piece. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the short ends and we're going to glue it smack bang in the middle there. Okay, so we're going to do the same. So I'm going to apply a little bit of glue to the bottom bit. And you just pinch the seam a little bit just to get the glue to bond. There we go. So now we have it all really assembled flat. So the next part I'm going to do is I'm going to take both ends of our bucket head base and we're going to connect them together, basically. So I'm going to flip this over. So now we're going to take this bit, the base of our other bit, and we're going to send it to where the seam is, so where we've just connected. And we're going to glue that right there. So this is where I'm going to be using Steve-O, although you can do the same thing on your own heads. You can put it on and adjust this. So I'm going to be putting this on Steve-O, like so, checking that it's fitting okay. The reason I'm using Steve-O is sometimes these bits can just be a little bit long. If you were using my original pattern, and you weren't making it long, like vertically longer, you're probably fine. This one's just my personal preference. So you basically want to just check that these are connecting here and going flat against the skull without having as much overlap. So this one has a little bit of overlap, so I'm going to snip it so that it meets there. And you can do this on your own head, just have a feel and roughly feel how much overlap there is and just cut off that much. If it feels like there's about a fingertip length, cut that much off. Then we're going to My glue gun is very hot. I'm gonna unplug that, let it cool down a bit. And we're just gonna glue that to the side. If you have my pattern, you probably marked the quarter lengths along here as well, to make it a bit easier to line these up. Which basically gonna be gluing it halfway between where this one is and where this one is. All right, let's just snippety snip. There we go. And now we're gonna glue that on. Same deal on the other side. So that is, you can leave it like this. You don't have to fill in all these triangles. It's not 100% necessary for you to do so. But if you'd like to, just to make it look nice, follow along, I suppose. So you will have, using the pattern, one of these that will kind of fit, basically it'll fit in there like that, and you can basically just glue one end, pinch it together, wait for it to dry, glue another end, pinch it together, wait for it to dry, glue another, pinch it to dry. But if you are like me and you've done it like this, you have a hole you need to fill. We're going to take the little bit that we took off before out of our back, and we're basically going to use this to try and draft it. So I will usually line up the one flat edge with one flat edge because we've got some flat edges to work with. So I'm going to put the corner in the top corner, and I'm going to move this down the bottom. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it because I can trim it if I need to. And then I know that this isn't quite a 90 degree. So we're just going to kind of use that, and if you feel underneath, to kind of roughly draft a pattern. I'm going to cut that out. Now, a lot of this pattern like making is guesswork. So I've got a triangle now. I'm going to test the fit. So I'm happy with that, but obviously this bit here, a little bit, you can see it sticks out, it needs to be trimmed again. So I'm going to put the lid on my pen because I want it to dry out. And I'm just going to come in with my scissors like that. And I'm happy enough that I can get that to go in nicely. So now I have this is my pattern piece. Use this, cut another one out. I can just overlay them like that. Using the other piece as a guide, I can cut another one out. Now, again, these are totally optional. When I do fill these in, I usually only do the front two, but if you'd like the back two, you want to feel more secure in that, do that too. 100% up to you, but the process is exactly the same. And these pattern pieces should flip fine onto the back as well. So yeah, we're just gonna glue these in. We're just gonna glue them in. Boom. Buckethead base to build your fursuit on. Let's build a fursuit on it. Fursuit. Yeah. All right, well, I think that just about does it. Let me know if you have any questions down below. The pattern will be for sale on my website along with merchandise. I do have these really cool Skyehighstudios varsity jackets, which I've been wanting to offer for years. And thanks to my new website, I can do this now, and this is crazy. Along with lots of other merch, lots of other patterns, including this one. So the link to that will be down below. If you want to access this pattern and lots of others, the link to my Patreon will be down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.